What is up, everybody? This is Tikwe, also known as Richard, and I'm coming back to you with another casted game, showing off a new friend all the way from the Netherlands, playing O as the French. Now, what I like about this player is he is currently sitting at Bronze 3, Silver 1. But specifically focusing on understanding the game a little bit more in depth, and his main struggle was that he felt like he kept running out of resources. So for me, that's also. I'm sorry, my mouse is messing around a little bit. We'll get the zoom. There we go. So his comment was that he plays the French and he does well, but with someone like the English, he'll have late game food and so on, or with other factions, he'll feel like he'll run out of resources. And that makes it a little bit difficult, especially when you're trying to focus on playing the game and you're not really getting those type of things right. So we'll watch the game from the perspective of where the players are currently at, because like I said, everything on my channel is not based on being, top tier based, top 100 players in the world. It's about understanding and having fun in the game, but also being kind of good at the game at the same time. Now, the first thing you'll notice is he did win with a double scout, which is the right thing to do against the Rus. What I'll usually do is I'll keybind my first scout to 3, other scout to 1. If you press H, you jump back to your town center, and I press 2. Now I can press 1, 2, 3, and I can micromanage my scouts very good. When you have a double scout, you don't want to be... if I just give you guys a quick look at the map, right? So this is the first thing. You see these sheeps. They usually like on the edges of these stealth forests. You can see right here. They're never really in the stealth forest, right? So what you can do is, from this perspective, usually run around the back of your base, get to the corner, and then you cut through the corner all the way to the other corner, and then you double back. And usually that would give you a nice little roundup for the sheep. You can see there's a nice little deer hunt here at the back, a wolf here. If we look at the Rus player, he probably did also open with a double scout. Let's have a look. Did go for a double scout, and that's also going to be very effective for him. He immediately goes for a forward deer instead of the berries, which is quite surprising. I wonder if that's the only deer spawn he had. That's a very interesting deer spawn, but it's a double. You can see right here, there's 2 deer spawns right next to each other. So a lot of food right here available. And also both boars, some sheep here plus a wolf, but both boars actually spawning here in the top left corner. So that's something to take note of if you have to play against the Rus, because there's a very high chance that they'll actually push for the for these deer and for the boars. But I mean, both players hasn't really scouted that out, so not really a biggest concern. You also have to be very careful of this very early on. I mean, you do have a double scout, so make sure you bring those food back. Make sure you are microing these scouts as quick as possible. And I would say it's better to have idle time on villager production as the French, because you have that faster training time, than losing out on 100% food supply, like basically what happened here. Also, the deer spawn is right here. That might have been an option, because against the Rus, you're not really expecting an archer rush. So this scout returning basically with no sheep, that's fine. In this type of scenario, if you do have a double scout and you didn't get lucky with finding sheep, or picking off a lot of, I would say, deer or something like that against the Rus, you can see now immediately going for the Golden Gate, immediately going for the School of Cavalry. It's quite nice to see both players at that 4 minutes, even at this level, getting that age up time. It's really good. I mean, anything from 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes it's considered really good. Now he's going for a forward stone here, which is good for a French player. So it's unlucky his spawn. You can see actually right next to his base he had 2 sheep that he didn't see. I wonder if he can see them now. Just out of line of sight, unfortunately. But yeah, that's why I say if you run around the back of your base, 1, 2, 3, 4 sheep right here. But you'll learn more of that as time goes on. I'm also doing it as a let's say training video because O is gonna watch this video. I told him I'm gonna make a recording on this video to also just discuss things that he can do better or worse. Let's talk about outpost or your landmark placements, right? So you have gone for a forward stone. This guy rushed the hell out of this landmark. I mean, if you're halfway and your timing is under 4 minutes for a landmark and you see someone finishing their landmark, this guy pushed the hell out of this landmark and he's going for gold. So if you have scouts available and you went for a double scout, these two scouts you should group into one group and push forward to find gold or to find wood and or even the stone, and just force him to have some form of defense going up, because either he's going to have idle time by trying to attack your scout, or he's going to have to put down an outpost to have some form of defense, like what's happening here, right? So if you are playing against a Roost player and you see this, which is not often that you see a Roost player go for early stone like this, but I think the Roost player might have scouted out. He hasn't even scouted out the French, which is surprising. So yeah, see, this is perfect. That's perfect, because you're forcing them off the stone, and all you do is double back. You micro this, make sure your villager production stays high. You don't need to worry about any knights because you are 100% aware of what's happening in his base. So be careful not to lose your scouts. You just want to maybe camp them right out of the stone mine, but right now, you can see the resources going up quite nice for O, sitting on 470 stones, so it means he can pop down some houses, which is happening right here. He has the stone, which is going to reach 300 very shortly, and the wood line is very good. So the nice thing to do right now is you pop down a second town center, and you want to do that on top of your next high priority resource. So a town center right here would have been perfect, because you are getting the full hunt and the berries, and you will have a little bit of vision into the stealth forest, and a little bit of support and protection, and you can expand into farms really safely between these 2 points. The second thing is getting those archery ranges down. So now you can see he picked up a sheep right here, still more sheep just standing here at the back. 1, 2 more sheep here, right here. So remember to do that scouting at the back. Nice to go into Royal Knights. A thing that you have to remember about the Rus is they can go for mass archers, which I've seen surprisingly good, and they're not that expensive. 30 food, 50 wood, whereas I think for a normal faction, we'll have to look. Let's just check on the tech trees quickly. If it's the same for the French. I'm thinking that the Rus has cheaper archers. 30, 50, 30, 50. Oh, it's the same. Okay, cool. So that's my bad. It's just the longbowmen from the English that is actually 10 food more. They're 40 food and 50 wood. So I actually now understand why the Rus can produce so many archers so quickly if they have a high wood line. What you usually find is people go up to 15 wood before you get the double products, because to get the upgrade, that upgrade plus the 15% really comes online once you have, excuse the hiccup, once you have about 15 on the wood. And if you look at the resources, he should be going into, you see the delay just from isolating that early stone, how big of a delay the second town center is. Pretty nice town center, I would say, as well. I would say a keep has to go on top of this very shortly, because you can get raided to death by the Rus, and they have really nice castle age plays if they have the right amount of resources. But this is perfect. You're using a scout, key binded them to make sure you're controlling them, and you don't even need to charge. So what's happening right now, I'm glad his scout didn't go down. So what's happening right now is as soon as you push forward, these 8 villagers needs to gather food, and he's not going to have more than 8 really available, right? So now you can see this a wooden fortress that went down here. That's 175 wood, right? A second one went down, a third one went down. So he's Mokabit is delaying his own second town center so badly, and this is perfect because you're putting him under pressure by seeing the Royal Knights and forcing him to understand that, okay, either there is a potential raid gonna happen, or I need to spend resources. So he's spending his stone getting these upgrades. What are they called? The arrow slit upgrades and the castle turret. So by all means get those upgrades, but it's 75 stone every single time that's getting upgraded. Yes, later on they'll have a lot of effectiveness, but early on, I mean, for you as a French player, right, when you see this, just go full castle age, because you're already ahead with a double town center. You know he's spent so much resources on getting these outposts up that you don't have to. You see, garrison idle time, 6 villagers idling again, so you can just come forward, go back, come forward, go back every single time, and that's going to give you such a high lead, because you are forcing him to move away from resources. Now some trading happening here. Very nice that he spot this out. So what do you expect as a French player against the Rus is you're probably going to see a castle age at some point very early. Some people like rushing it, and in this type of scenario he has a really nice spawn, the Rus player. One relic right here, second relic on a boar right here, third one right here, right close to his base, fourth one right on top of this hunt as well, and one relic all the way behind the market back here, right? So if you look at the Rus player, right, he's only sitting on 240. He didn't even get 250. So he's not even killing these sheep. So if you're playing the Rus and you had to just take 2 villagers and kill these sheep off, you would have 250, which is 10% increased villager food harvest rate, and hunting cabinets generate gold every 24 seconds, which is these hunting cabinets which generates gold based on the amount of trees that are within its vicinity. So for argument's sake, instead of going forward with a wood mill, what you'll see is a hunting cabinet going down right here, because then you get the full wood line in and it's permanent, and then dropping a lumber camp just on the side and then clearing this out, right? That's going to give you some free gold to have as well. Still no second town center coming in for the Rus player, and in this type of scenario, if you're the French, just keep scouting this out, just keep having units out in the field. And I would say if you're not seeing any military production happening from your enemy, 5 or 6 knights, right, early on, and just get this upgrade right here, which you did, so your units can heal. You run in with your knights, you see if you can get maybe 1 or 2 picks. At the same time you raid right here, like what's happening here, and then at the same time you use this and raid again. So you just keep raiding, and they say raid your enemy to death, which is great as a French player. And if you have an enemy that's this passive, you know, here's a guild hall at 12 minutes. I would say your guild hall, if you have not gone mass unit, should come down under 10 minutes. I mean, this is a little bit high on the wood. I would suggest the food was maybe the problem here. So transitioning into this deer, this berries right here, early on, that would have been good. Also, you have a deer hunt here at the back, which is fine. This is a really good gold spawn, so you don't have to worry even about having any gold here at the base. That's extra, right? Because you already have this secured, you already have that secured. And what you can also do is just drop a wall from here all the way down, even if you exclude this gold mine, but just drop a single wall down to the side here, so if anything happens, an outpost here, that you know where those units can possibly come from. You can see a nice thing from the Rus player is he's actually getting a lot of map control. Excuse me. But yeah, in this type of scenario, perfect scenario for the French. Get these upgrades. You have the gold, you have the wood. It's just going to take a longer time if you're not pushing these upgrades early on, even if it's just your siege engineering, because you're probably going to need it late game anyway. So if you're expanding like what's happening here, you make sure that these upgrades are in queue. If you have extra resources like 1,500, like if you have this much wood, drop down 4 or 5 archery ranges, or go into 40 farms immediately and drop the wood. Because if you're not going mass archers with this wood line and you're struggling with food, reinvest these resources or scout out your enemies so you know what to expect. Because this guy is just raiding on wooden fortresses, and they do add up. If the enemy has a lot of wooden fortresses, they give them map advantage, specifically on this map, which is called Highview. You see all these stealth forests. You can get away with so much by having a high amount of nights idle time on the food villagers here. So these villagers can transition into the deer, into the berries right here, into the deer hunt back here, or full commit into gold and then buy your way out of it, and use the guild hall onto food, which is nice. Guild hall on food, plus, you know, extra farms. You can put down a wall here, drop 2 extra farm patches down here, and you're good to go, right? So now you can see the siege workshop coming out, and look at the range of this wooden fortress, right? This wooden fortress is able to take out this amount of range. It's almost the range of a trebuchet. So you know you have to go for siege workshops to deal with this. And you'll also see some archers, actually crossbowmen coming out from the enemy. Well, actually one early night right here, but archery range, single stable, and just a bunch of towers. Still no single upgrades here on the military side. I would say if you're in the castle age, priority-wise, you want to go for your veteran upgrades or your elite upgrades as soon as possible, which is this one right here. If you're going to use your archers. If you're not massing archers and you don't plan on massing archers, don't worry about that right now. Do it at a later stage. You're sitting on 1,500 food and gold. The best call to do right now is to go for trebuchets, maybe get 2 or 3 of them out, and then supplement that with your slow food production right now, if you have the upgrades, which you should get right now if you have extra food. So this should have been already in queue. Fertilization should be in queue. Your pickaxe should be in queue because you have the resources, right? I think the biggest mistake I've personally made, and I feel a lot of players make, is sitting on resources. If you're sitting on 2,000 gold, remember your milestones, right? Or you need 1,200 gold, and look at that shot going off from these towers, right? That's amazing range. But anyway, if you have this amount of resources, that means a keep. So best place to drop down a keep, put it right on this gold, so you can get vision, map control, put down outposts right here in the front so you can get vision on this map. You're not seeing mass units coming in. Now a counterweight trebuchet is on the map. If you see a counterweight trebuchet going down, you can't go and build a keep because you're already countered by the keep, right? So you should be focusing in this type of scenario, maybe going into with 2,000 wood, build 5 or 7 stables. Because 7 stables, if you have the food and the gold supply, you're just going to pop out 7 royal knights at the same time, and then you can raid your enemy to death, right? At this now you have to deal with all these wooden fortresses, which is filled with his archers, and you are delaying your advantage that you have. You already have a single town center versus a double town center. You can see the resources: 49 economy versus a 85 economy. You virtually have double the economy. So if you have this much wood in the bank, you can literally drop the full amount of wood villagers and go expand into farms, and then slowly fill in that wood supply again with your villagers. But you have to deal with the threat as early as possible, and the threat right now is these forward pilot bases and the fact that he has trebuchets. So he can win this by raiding you to death, and you're just going to lose your units to these high damaging wooden fortresses, and you don't really want to throw away your royal knights if they're not supported by anything, right? So now these trebuchets are coming down. There is a threat of the siege workshop, which is present right here. So what's going to happen is you have basically a siege battle in the middle of the base, but at what cost? Because you're giving your enemy, which aged up to age 3 behind you, time to get his upgrades down. So these upgrades still has not come through. If you see, only now the +2 upgrades are coming through, and it's nice that you're focusing on the melee upgrades. But because you have this many crossbows, you want to make sure you get those range upgrades first, and even drop a second blacksmith. It's 300 wood for a single siege workshop, and I think that's also something not to be scared of. Nice little push happening here from the Rus player, just gonna pick off villagers for free here. You know, and this is something to take note of. If you have this much resources, spend it. Don't sit in a castle age with over 5,000 resources, because this does not do anything for you. If you have 85 villagers and you have over 3,000 wood, you know, drop barracks, drops the archery ranges, drop siege workshops, build another town center, go for 3 town centers, you sell some of the wood and buy stone, and get resource control by dropping a keep on this wooden line, or pushing with all these villagers forward and dropping a keep right here. If you drop a keep, remember this is also something you need to take note of as the French, right? If you have this amount of resources and you drop a keep down, right, get your stables on top of this keep as soon as possible, because it means all of these knights are going to come out at a fraction of the cost, 25% cheaper, because they are in the vicinity of the keep. You can see the stable units cost reduced by 20%. It does not apply for archery ranges. I've learned that the hard way, so please don't drop archery ranges on top of the keep. It only applies to archery ranges and stables within this unit has a decreased of cost decrease of 25%. So it is archery ranges and stables. Oh, barracks doesn't affect barracks. So your French composition generally will consist of archers, knights, nice trebuchets, a few springles out here, and a main thing that you also want to go College of Artillery. That's great to see. Once you get the College of Artillery, you go for those royal cauldrons, you go for the bombards, the royal bombards, and you are gonna do so much damage at such big range. You can have 2 of these units out, these you see the cannons, and then you have royal cannons coming from the artillery range. There's a huge damage difference and a range difference between these cannons. And then on top of that, you go onto your siege workshop, which is right here. You get the greased axle upgrade, you get a university down, you take the university, and you get your next upgrades. But one thing you should note as the French, right? You see right now they only have access to the Rebaldequin, right? Once this is done, I want to show you guys one of the strongest units in the games. I think if you have a late game composition like this, right, with a 2 or 3 of these units, I have not a lot of response. You see, there's the Royal Colburn. This unit is a long range cannon made for destroying siege equipment. The range is basically from here all the way to here. It's insane. It's almost a third further away than the trebuchet with these Royal Culverins. You'll destroy springolds and counterweight trebuchets very, very quickly like that. And because you have a blacksmith out, you get your upgrade for free. So with this, you should immediately go for a raid. If you have this many knights, even if you don't push with the knights, you use the crossbowmen with your trebuchets to push forward to some of the landmarks that you know is active on the map. At the same time, you use your royal knights and you get onto the back line. You try and upset the economy, because if you kill a player that has 1 town center and you destroy 50% of his villagers, that means that he won't be able to back that resources again, and you are gonna have a resource lead and a villager lead. You see these farms coming in right now, even these stray villagers that's doing this long distance shopping, they should be expanding onto food. You can see the amount of gold villagers here is really nice. 27 gold villagers, 44 food villagers right now. So the food is picking up. There's farms here. Careful for the double stacking like this. You can see the running distance there is very ineffective. So maybe just drop a second mill right here. It's only 25 wood, so you're not losing anything by dropping more mills down. You can micro your mills and your lumber camps very effectively because they are so cheap. They're only 25 wood each, so for you to push with that, it's very good. But late game like this, you can see these royal culverins. You can see the range on them. It's 12. Royal is this? Yeah, Royal Culverin, and the range on the what is this? The counterweight trebuchet is also 16. Okay, so you can see there the range is up to here. So I think the Culverin will be up to basically all like here. I would say that would be the range of the Royal Culverin. They do not do a lot of damage versus buildings or these towers, so you want to complement your army by getting some of these royal cannons. But these culverins are perfect for dealing with siege that you already saw your enemy has. And the thing is, in this type of scenario, if you have the stables early on, you just maybe train 5 or 6 scouts, just send them in random directions, scout out your enemy. Even if they die within the enemy's base, just send them out so you can see what's happening in the enemy's base. And you can see now he has elite royal knights, 46 damage on each one of them. They also get the charge damage bonus, so once they charge, plus 10 damage. And like I said early on, you support your counterweight trebuchets with your knights and your crossbowmen, and you just use these royal knights to force the enemy into raiding, force him into spending resources like what you see happening here. And this is going to be your bread and butter army, is going mass knights, spending all these wood that is extra right here. You can see the gold is running low. Spend that wood, get economy up. You can see right now he's trying to focus on the trade that he did see early on, which is good. But if you have these amount of upgrades on your units, you don't want to wait for a 40-50 minute game where your enemy has the chance to get those upgrades done as well. So now you can see what happened is he pushed forward with the Royal Knights, and because he was here on the far left, two keeps went down, and because of the Knights being this side, everything else on this map is going to be exposed because the keeps are only protecting a gold vein which is almost depleted. This is the worst placement of a keep that you can do. It's not worth defending your base with 2 keeps if you're not defending something. So those keeps should have gone down right here on top of this gold and on the top of the sacred site right here, or on top of these sacred sites right here. That's where you want to place your keeps. It's for map and resource control. It's not for defending your base, because a single counterweight trebuchet will destroy a keep, or it will cost you 1,000 wood to keep repairing it while the counterweight trebuchet runs through your base. So in this type of scenario, send your Royal Knights in. Don't wait for population cap this late into the game. I guess the best way to complement your army, if you're not sure what to do, send scouts first and then complement it by sending your army before you move. Maybe double clicking the Knights, keybind 4, crossbowmen, keybind 5, Royal Cauldrons, keybind 3, counterweight trebuchets, keybind 6. So if you want to siege, deal with I'm dealing now, let's say right here there's your springles. You have your Royal Cauldrons to deal with them. You have 6, you see there's a keep, you attack the keep. You have your knights, you run around. If there's any archers or so on you that you want to raid first before you push into the units. You can see also the knights, they get an extra armor from the warrior monk. So the warrior monk does increase their effectiveness of his units. So just be noticeable of that. And also, if you're playing against the Rus in the future, just try and contest these relics, which he did not pick up. So unfortunately, that's sad for the Rus player. But this amount of resources in the bank, you should not be scared by pushing forward with these type of armies, because you are putting yourself at a time to lose the game because of a single fact that your enemy can get those resources up as well and get an army up as well. You don't want to play with fire by losing a bad trade and then you lose the game and then noticing that you have this much of a lead on top of him. You have 44 food villages. You don't even need to worry about resources anymore. You can see the university coming out. Incendiary arrows, not the best right now because you're sitting with mass crossbowmen, so that's a waste of 700 gold. It does increase the damage of ranged units by 20%, so you do get an extra bit of damage out of it. But that's, if you're going mass archers, that's the best upgrade. I would have pushed the chemistry upgrade to complement your College of Artillery. That's going to be the best. And then upgrading rather your Siege Workshop, going for your geometry, because you already have trebuchets, you're getting a 30% increase on your trebuchets. So that's going to be much better for you to deal with these armies. If you have trebuchets out, you get that upgrade, the geometry upgrade, before you get these the flaming arrow upgrade. You can also go for Siege Works, which increases the health of siege engines and their ranged by 3. So now you have a trebuchet that can do extra damage and extra ranged. So that's going to be your thing to think about when you're playing in the future. You can see how quickly these elite arbiters are dealing with these knights because they are so upgraded. Really nice push here. I would say it's a little late if you're going to play against more advanced players. You want to have outposts out here, you want to have keeps on top of the sacred sites, you want to make sure that you are dropping your own keeps to protect resources and have vision on your map, seeing stuff like this before it happens, otherwise you are giving your enemy free resources. But yeah, very good medium level game to show you guys what you can do better and what you can do improve upon if you're playing the French right now. I think they're a really nice faction late game. The upgrades are insane, very difficult to deal with if you allow a French player to get this far ahead. But yeah, I think O did really well here, and you can see the resources of the Rus player never kept up with him because of the double town center lead. But thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.